Alrighty, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Paid and Passion, where we let our passions work for us. As you can see today, we have a different format. Paid and Passion, we are now going virtually. We are expanding. We are no longer just keeping it limited to in person. So if you are in another country and want to be on the podcast, no worries, it will happen. Again, please subscribe, like, comment, share, especially these interviews and podcasts with different people. 2026 goal is to definitely grow exponentially. And we're doing that by having great guests like we have today. So could you just go ahead and introduce yourself today and the passion that pays you?
What's up, guys? I'm Levi Ohanenye. First off, grateful to you, Josh, for even thinking of me and having me on. It's a great honor. Levi Ohanenye, Georgia grad. That's where I met Josh. I am a realtor and I also am a Georgia used auto dealer. So those are my two passions. Always been passionate about houses. Always been passionate about cars. So I was lucky enough and fortunate enough and blessed enough to have the great fortune of becoming a realtor and a auto broker.
Those are, I would say, those are two. It's interesting, and I just think about this now that your businesses are on the opposite spectrums as far as
Right.
assets, low key. So which one was that something that you started off doing at the same time? Was there one that you started sooner? So can you kind of tell us like how long maybe you've been
So
doing each
for
of these
auto
roles?
sales, I started auto sales. I got my license November of 2021. I want to say. So it'll be 5 years this November. And then real estate, I officially passed my test August, then got licensed August of 2023. So it'll be 3 years for that this year, 5 years for auto broker.
Okay, that's awesome. So what I know you were interested in. We'll start with the auto. Since you were interested in cars, what made you choose selling cars versus working on cars, or any other career that you could have gone after?
Well, originally I wanted to become an automotive designer. I just, and that's still like a dream job of mine. I just could never figure out the pathway of doing that. Like no one was ever able, and I feel like nowadays, you can do so much more with like research and chat GPT and whatever. But 10 years ago, they colleges were still sending out catalogs of like majors. So I knew that that would fall within like some part of engineering, but I didn't know if what kind of engineering, I guess you could say. A lot of schools offer like architecture and like building design, but not too many offer like the automotive design. And I just couldn't figure out where that would fall in. So I didn't get a chance to do that. Went to college, went to UGA. My degree is in marketing, and I did a lot of MIS stuff too. Realized I didn't like MIS really, and I think maybe last year at UGA, which is 2019 to 2020, um, I realized, okay, well, buying and selling cars is actually a pretty lucrative opportunity, but I sort of put it in the back of my mind because I had other stuff going on at that time, so it wasn't high priority. And the opportunity just represented itself maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, and I decided to jump on it.
And so with that, and again, so with this platform, I like to really go in depth because again, there could be someone who has an interest in this and kind of just trying to figure out what the first like the hardest step is at first that uh well sometimes then it might be like step 15 that is actually harder than step 1, but that's typically getting started is always like the biggest hurdle. So, how did you essentially end up actually starting? Like, what was that first car purchase? Was it a car that you already had that you sold, or did you go out and buy a car and then sold it?
So the first one that I bought, I'll actually never forget this car. It was a 2002 Mercury Sable. And I bought this I before I officially had my license. I was already in the process of getting it, but when you're getting a auto dealer's license, there's so much red tape that you have to go through because you're dealing with titles, and there's so much fraud that one can do with titles. And some people are doing financing, and you're handling people's sensitive information. So it's difficult to get into, I will say. Probably 4 to 6 months from start to finish as far as paperwork is concerned, inspections, background checks, all that good stuff. So during this time, of course, my thing is okay, well, I need to still be selling some cars, even if it's sort of under the table. So got on Facebook Marketplace, found a car, 2002 Mercury Sable, great mileage. However, it just wasn't worth what I bought it for. I paid $1,500 for it, ended up selling it for $1,500. Um, had I waited and found something that was in a little better shape, could have got more money off of it, could have made a profit. So but it did teach me some of
Okay,
the
okay, okay.
basics of marketing. So I am grateful for it. It taught me the basics of vehicle marketing and just putting something out
Mm,
there and dealing with test drives and customers calling and vetting customers. So um, that was the first vehicle that I officially bought. And then as far as like official with my dealer's license, I actually made the mistake. I thought that you could bid on whatever you wanted to at the auction, and that if you bid on those, if you decide you don't want them, the auction just takes them back, and that wasn't the case. So I bid on like 60 cars at one time, and I won
right.
six of them, and I think four out of six of them did not run or drive or anything. So you're starting a business and you got like $5,000 you got to pay. You get six cars, but you don't know if they run a job, whatever. Fortunately, one of them that was listed as non-running, it actually did run fine. So that one was fine. It was another BMW. So I got two BMWs, a Chevy HHR, a Mazda Millennia, a Volkswagen Jetta, and I'm missing one car. I can't think of the last one. Oh, and a Pontiac Grand Prix, I think. So out of those, the Chevy HHR ran great. That was actually the first official
Okay.
car that I sold. Um, the BMW 5 Series, it actually, when we got it, we thought it 1 star, whatever. Put a new battery in it, 1 star. Mechanic was like it had, a bad time machine, whatever. So I decided I wanted to play with it. Kept playing with it, kept trying to start it. Finally got it to turn over and let it run. Car ran great. Just had some like it's an issue with like a transmission solenoid or something that eventually got
Okay.
fixed. The black BMW that that just ended up junking that. The Millennia, someone ended up buying that. The Jetta, I ended up fixing that on my own. So, and that's something that I've realized, something that working in this made me realize like sometimes you just gotta figure it out. So something wrong with the immobilizer on the car. Told my mom. I mean, at the end of the day, shoot, I paid $700 to $800 for the car. If I mess it up, just call the junk man and come pick it up. But was able to get that fixed. So sold that, made a very nice profit off of that car. There was
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. Great car, nothing wrong with it. And then yeah, I think that was it out of that. Oh, and then the Grand Prix had transmission issues, but still was able to get that sold. Sold it to somebody who was just gonna put a new motor and transmission in it and just drive it. So that's how I started. Not the most conventional way, but I definitely learned. So
And were all those vehicles sold on Facebook Marketplace?
so I actually utilize Auto Trader. So I pay $220 a month for Auto Trader, and then I have a website and I have Facebook Marketplace.
So with that being said, what do you think is a key marketing wise when it comes to something like a car? And again, any I guess marketing is definitely transferable in everything, but the same way that you can market a cell phone might not be the same way that you market a vehicle. And especially when you're trying to sell a vehicle on a website like Auto Trader, where there's endless cars on there. So like what do you think were like those key marketing factors?
I think transparency, like number one is transparency. The more information you can give someone, the better. Because at the end of the day, with a car, no one wants to buy a car that they don't know anything about. If you know different things about the car, different things that may be wrong with the car, at least tell that person in advance. And they'll appreciate that a lot more than, you not telling them. And it's the same thing with houses. Being transparent about what you know about the house, bedrooms, bathrooms, space, all that good stuff is important. The more information you give, the better, because that shows that you are actually knowledgeable about what you are selling.
So what did you end up majoring in school?
Marketing, and then I have a minor in women's
Right, right,
studies,
right.
and then my MBA is in human resource leadership.
So transitioning into houses, was being a realtor anything that you would have imagined yourself doing?
So the thought never crossed my mind to go into real estate. Like that was never
Mhm.
something that I wanted to do, um, at all. Like never anything I wanted to do. So if you would have told me 5 years ago I would have become a realtor, I probably would have laughed at you.
Mhm.
But when I found out that you can credit your commission to your down payment or closing costs on your home, I was like,
Right.
okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. So got into real estate under the pretense of selling one or two houses, then selling my house, selling myself a house, jumping back out. When I decide I want to sell, get rid of my house, I'll be the person who puts it on the market, gets the commission, and I buy another house, whatever. And just like doing it just for family and friends. That was it. It was never something that was meant to turn into a full time career or something I could continue to build on.
Right. You said whatever if you sell a house, it goes towards your whatever commission you make goes towards your personal down payment on the house. So your vision was I'm gonna just sell some houses so I can get my down payment that I need, live in my house. Because I'm a realtor, when I'm done living here, I'm gonna sell my house, and because I'm a realtor, I'm selling my house to get this commission to buy another house, and I'll just do this. I'll just have this skill asset for my friends and family, so that all this can work well, essentially.
So, so we typically get 3% on our commissions. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. So on a $300,000 house, you typically are getting $9,000. Um, Now, of course, that's before any fees, taxes, splits with your broker, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Luckily, I don't have a split with my broker, so I get all my money. So I pay $515 a month, um, to my brokerage, but it's worth it because if I had a split, I would be paying them like $500 a transaction. So months I'm doing 3 and 4 transactions, I'll be giving them $2,000.
We're about to get into these 4 or 5 transactions in a month because
So yeah, so it didn't make sense. So that's how that works. So my ideology and my thoughts on that was okay. I know I have money, but I don't want to necessarily spend my money on a down payment. I didn't know much about real estate. I didn't know anything about grants and the fact that you can get money towards closing costs, whatever. I've just always been told, hey, it's 3.5% you have to bring towards your down payment, and it's 3% you need to bring for closing costs, 6.5%. So on a $300,000 house, you're looking at like $19,000, $20,000 to close on the house. Now, if I can cover 3% of that by just representing myself, I'm cutting that in half. So instead of having to
Right.
bring 19K, I might be bringing 11K. So I'm like, if I do
Right.
that for
Right.
myself after I've done it for two people, save that money, that's my down payment, that's my closing costs. I'm in a house
Right.
without having to come out of pocket and use all my savings. I
Yeah.
didn't know too much about, like I said, down payment assistance, closing cost concessions, negotiations, all that good stuff. I'm just from the outside looking in. So that's what, made me want to get in a
Right.
position where I could get my real estate license because I moved out of Athens Ridge May of
Hmm.
2020. I moved back in, or whenever they made us move out. It might have been July. But whenever we had to move out of Athens Ridge, I moved out and I moved back in at home. And I didn't move back out from home until I bought my house. So I stayed at home from, you might as well
Mm.
say, summer 2020 until this time last year.
If I'm not mistaken, you're a full time realtor now. So how can you talk about that? I would say that's really like a jump of faith to go into a career where you're not getting a consistent paycheck. You know the paycheck coming. You know by the on the 15th, on the 31st, you got a check coming in, and you know exactly what it's going to be. You know how to budget the rest of your year, given you're not getting fired from your job. What was that like? How are you able to really make that step, especially saying at this point now you were already an entrepreneur. You went to school, you left home, and now you're still continuing that I don't know how to say that word, entrepreneur route,
Mm-hmm.
but now into a field where it's like everyone's a realtor. You're in a city where house is not cheap. It's not the most expensive in the United States, but house is not cheap. Apartment's not cheap. People trying to go back home to living with their parents. So like cusp of COVID, everything after COVID definitely changed everything in humanity. So like, what was that like? What were your emotions like at that time? Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually a really good question. So October 2023,
All right.
no, October 2024, I got laid off. I worked 2.5 years in corporate sales selling software. Absolutely love my job. 100% remote. We travel, great benefits, could do really whatever. Not necessarily tied down to a desk. As long as I got my stuff done, I was good. So October 2023, laid off out of nowhere. Had just gotten myself to a point where, I felt like, okay, I was in a position to buy a house. I was in a position to maintain that house, whatever the case may be. Found a house, absolutely fell in love with the house. Had ideas of what it is I was going to do to the house. To me, the house was in perfect location, whatever. And I got laid off right, before I was set to pay my earnest money deposit. Got laid off. I couldn't find a job from October until January. So I had pretty much I literally was just like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna find a job. I haven't been doing real estate long enough to buy this house, to buy a house. Without my real estate income, with my real estate income, you have to file taxes on it, all that good stuff. So I said, okay, well, what I'll probably do is I'll just, travel. So I just started booking trips and got a job offer that I did not expect to get at all.
So we're gonna. So when you got laid off, you say, "I need to take some trips."
Yeah, because I was going on I went on probably 20 or 30 interviews and I wasn't hearing anything,
Mhm.
you know. And that's something that a lot of people are going through right now. Thinking that you do have something promising and then it ends up being nothing. But at this time, I'm also selling houses. Like
Yeah.
I'm selling plenty of
Yeah.
houses, so it's I can afford a mortgage. It's just the bank doesn't feel that I can
Yeah.
afford one because I don't have a job on paper that I pay taxes on. So get a job in January, first day of the year. actually,
Right.
ironically, found my house and I'm sitting in right now the same day um, that I got that job.
Mm,
Um, started software sales again. So started that job, worked that job, closed on my house, and mm, I just didn't enjoy the job. I didn't enjoy the management. I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but didn't enjoy the job. Didn't enjoy the manager with an S. Just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't my style of work. I'm not someone who does well with micromanagement, you know. And for me, the final straw was uh, being told that I was gonna need to get up and be on camera at like 7:15 in the morning for mandatory training Monday through Friday, and come
yeah.
off camera at 6 p.m. Like I'm not sitting on camera for what is that 11 hours?
Yeah. Camera on is crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, when I heard that, yeah, I went ahead, submitted my letter of resignation, and that pretty much was that. So I'm just, and mind you, this is earlier last year. The only house when I decided to resign, I had only sold really just my house. But I knew the amount of money I had in my savings. I knew I could pay my mortgage at least for the next year. I'm like, okay, I have a master's. Worst come to worst,
Yeah.
I can go into the schools. I'm like, I can go into the school system. I can become a business teacher, whatever, till I figure out what I want to do. Whatever I know in APS, I can make 65, $70,000 a year. I'm good, And but I said, if I can wake up and be so confident in other people and other businesses
Mm,
and other companies that I'm going to get a paycheck, why can't I have that same confidence in myself? So I said, instead of me, sitting here and searching to find a job, why don't I just go all in and just go harder in real estate? So I quit, and that was my moment where I said, I'm just going to go all in with real estate. And I had a great year last year,
right.
because I decided to focus on working for myself versus trying to focus on working for someone else. And that's something that's not for everybody at the end of the day. Some of us need a job. Like and that's that's
Hmm.
that's what's going on in Atlanta right now. Like I think a lot of people feel like they can be entrepreneurs. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Some of us need the structure of a job, just like not everyone. And it's not a bad thing at all. It
For
really is
sure.
not, because the same way people become millionaires through entrepreneurship, people become millionaires through a 9 to 5. There is nothing wrong with that at all. And I think that social media has people set into this routine and thinking that, oh, I got to get up at 7:30 and go 4 o'clock, pray, meditate, take a cold bath, wash my face, do my 12 steps skincare routine, make up my bed, clean up my house, walk around my neighborhood, go to the gym, go on a 5 mile run after the gym. Like social media has people thinking that that is what life is about, and it's just really just not. Some of us can fall in line in different spaces. So for me, I said real estate. That's what I'm gonna do. Add my cars onto it, and I'll be straight. So I was able to, experience a pretty good amount of success um, from
Yeah. Last year was your first full year being a realtor.
yeah. So last year was my what I would consider to be my first full year. Definitely the first
Yeah.
year where full time. Yeah, where I didn't
Yeah.
have. Well, I mean, technically, this year is my first year full time, because last year, I wasn't full time until March, like the middle of March. But I would consider last year my first full.
Could you share some of your achievements? I know your achievements, but I think at least from me wise, and I know a lot of realtors. I wanted you specifically because one, we're from the same area, Clan County. We went to the same college, and once I saw that you started being a realtor, I saw the success that you were having that a lot of people are still trying to get today and they've been in the business for 5, 10 years. Like, I respect that, and I mean, it's great too, and I think that you have skills that you can share with people, and I feel like you would be willing to share that with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I appreciate that too. I some of my achievements last year, 7.1 or $7.2 million in residential sales, just on the buyer side. I didn't list any houses or anything. I just helped buyers last year. 24 closings overall across Metro Atlanta, Gwinnett County, Clayton County, Henry County, Fulton County, um, Rockdale County, Newton County, uh, Paulding County. It's one more county I can't think of the name of it. No, it's not Coweta. Yeah, Carroll County. So I had closings along all those areas. Just found out today, number one agent in my broker's office in the Fayetteville office. I'm hoping for number one company wide and just seeing where I fall franchise wide. So definitely some great achievements last year in real estate. And I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just consistency. Like, I get asked this a lot. How do you sell so many houses? Well, every single day I wake up and I do something different on social media. I post house tours. I talk about, clients that I've had in the past, clients that I'm working with. I'm showing that I'm in the field. I'm showing you that I'm still active. I want you. When you think about real estate, I want to be the first person that you think about.
Hmm.
Because that's how, when you hear somebody in public saying, "Oh yeah, I need a realtor," I'm thinking about, "Oh, I know this person. I know Levi," or "I know this person. I know that person." So you want to be the first thing that sort of comes to mind and keep yourself out there. Like, when people think about talk shows, you probably think about Oprah.
Hmm.
You probably think about Oprah because we saw Oprah so much, and we still see Oprah so much. And I look at people like Oprah and Beyonce and Michael Jackson. I love music, and you can even say like Michael Jordan, but I'll use Beyonce for entertaining and Michael Jordan for sports. When you look at the fact that Michael Jordan got cut from, what was it, his middle school basketball team, or that person didn't think, that coach didn't think that he had what it took to be on a middle school basketball team, and now he's regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, if not the greatest of all time. You look at Beyonce. Beyonce talks about getting dropped from, I think, 10 to 15 record labels as a teenager, but she never gave up because she knew at the end of the day this is what she was going to do. And
Right.
when I look at those people and how long it took for them to be successful and just keep fighting at their dream, you look at Michael Jordan. He played at Duke, right? He played at Duke, right? Or Chapel Hill, North Carolina, one of them. So
Right.
yeah, Chapel Hill. So he played at Chapel Hill. That's 4 years. You got cut in middle school. You might as well say about 4 or 5 years before you go to college. That's like probably 7, 8 years before you even got into the NBA. But you kept at it every single day until you made it. Beyonce has
That's
been relevant in our lives. I'm 26. I think you 27, 28. I don't ever remember a time with there not being a Beyonce. Like, where Beyonce just wasn't a thing. I don't ever remember that. And even now, she could say, "Okay, yeah, I'm done with this music stuff,"
yeah.
but she's still working. So I use that for myself
Right.
because I'm like, okay, I'm 2 or 3 years in. Who am I to say I'm not? I don't feel like doing this today, or I've done enough, or I feel like I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to do that. Oprah is a multi-billionaire. Beyonce is a billionaire. All these people have made billions of dollars and they are still working.
Yeah.
Why? Because they realize that the job is sort of never done. So for me personally, right. So, for me personally, there are a lot of realtors in Atlanta, there's a lot of realtors in the world. And that's something that I get asked a lot. Well, it's a lot of realtors, how do you whatever. There's a lot of realtors, there's only one Levi. You're not gonna find another me. What I do is not duplicatable.
Right.
What I do doesn't appeal to every single person either. I may not be a good fit for you as a realtor. I may be too blunt. I may be too straightforward. You may need somebody that's gonna hold your hand. I'm gonna hold your hand, but I'm also going to let you know, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we need to do it. This is how we're gonna get there. Are you gonna trust me to get there? If you trust me to get there, you're gonna get there. So I think my success comes from just being straightforward and also just not operating in a scarcity mindset. A lot of realtors and people in sales and just life in general right now, we know that life ain't just the easiest at this point in time. But when you start operating that poverty and that scarcity mindset, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example of a poverty or scarcity mindset. A lot of people feel like, obviously we went to UGA, we graduated from UGA. A lot of our peers and stuff are starting to buy homes. We have a lot of realtors that have graduated from UGA, different parts of real estate doing different things. I'm never going to be upset if my classmate decides to buy a house from another realtor that graduated from UGA that we both know. I'm never going to be like, oh, well, they should have bought that house for me, or they should have. Because at the end of the day, there are other people out there. We got other classmates, we got other clients. All of our classmates are doing great things. Eventually, it's going to be my turn to sit down at the table across from one of my classmates. So that's never going to be something. But a lot of us, we block our blessings in being like, oh, that person closed with this person. They could have closed with me. They not trying to. Da, da, da. And then you get so fixated on that one client, you got 10 clients that just walked you by. You in your feelings for 3 or 4 days, and you done missed out on tens of DMs of people that would have reached out to you. You done missed out on
Right.
72
Right.
hours of prospecting you could have done, 72 hours of content creation you could have done, 72 hours of reverse prospecting, 72 hours of calls, cold calls, whatever it is that you could have done because you were in your feelings. I think that once you add that consistency piece to it, get rid of that scarcity mindset in that you feel like, oh, I should get this, I should get this, I should get this, I should get this. It's not about you. Focus on what you can control, and that's just in life. Focus on what you can control. In that, for me, if I don't get a
Right.
pre-qualification until next Thursday, I'm gonna focus on what I can control. I can't control if you didn't pay your bills on time. You can't get a mortgage. But what I can control is
Mm.
marketing. What I can control is focusing on my current clients. What I can control is reaching back to my previous clients, making sure that they're taken care of.
Right.
That's what I can control. I can't control what I can't control.
Right. How do you keep all? How do you keep all of this organized? Like what's like your organization method?
I wish I could show you my office right now because there's stuff everywhere. Um, I actually don't really have a good method of organization at all. Well, I do, but I'm sort of old school.
Hmm.
I believe in spreadsheets. I believe in notes. I don't like a lot of automation. Like I know the big thing right now in real estate is CRMs, and I do think that those are beneficial. But I also want it to be authentic. I don't want you to just get emails bombarded with emails, and it's not Levi.
Hmm.
And even now, like it's just me. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a showing assistant. I don't have a transaction coordinator. I don't have any of that. It's just Levi. So when you call me, if somebody answers the phone, they're not answering the phone. Levi Ohanenye Real Estate. How can I help you? You're hearing my
Right.
voice. If somebody opening a door, it's me. If somebody at my closing, it's me. And for me,
Right.
at this stage in my life right now, I'm not at a point where
Yeah.
I can't afford to not show up for those people. I just I can't. I can't afford to say, well, I'm gonna send this person, I'm gonna do this. No. If I got air in my body and I'm here and I can do it, then I'm gonna do
I think especially
it. Mm-hmm.
mm, right, and I think the thing about real estate too is like we your name is your brand. So and unlike a lot of other careers, like even when you do have like with me working in higher education, people know me by name, but ultimately I work for a school and the school has the brand. And my brand and the school brand, whether they match or not, people can disassociate me from the school or disassociate the school from me. But with you, it's like we're not looking at what firm you're with. We're looking at, okay, this is my realtor. This is the person I'm calling. This is the person I really depending on right now. And my experience, I'm not blaming my experience with you on your firm or the city I'm in or the college you went to or anything. The bank, not the bank. Shoot, I'm not even blaming myself if I'm not even qualified or something. Like it's the realtor, so I definitely understand as far as like, especially at this moment, I mean, like you've been saying now, you want to build that brand and maintain it. You know, you can build something, and a lot of things aren't sustainable, but you're building and you're wanting to sustain, like you said, till you don't got to no more. So okay. So for those who are, again, there's a lot of people who are interested in real estate. Um, what what do you suggest if someone was is considering going into real estate but they don't know? What do you think is like a key component or a key characteristic that someone should have or should not have when wanting to go into that field?
That's a good question. Step zero is knowing why you want to get into real estate. If you just want to get into real estate to make money, you can make money flipping burgers at McDonald's. Like you have to know why you want to get into real estate. For me personally, I wanted to get into real estate to make money. Yes, but I also knew the reason that I wanted to sell houses was to buy a house. But if you're just saying I want to get into real estate to make money, you probably should find something else to do. Because on those days where you're not getting any business or no one's calling your phone or you're not doing it, why is what's going to be your fuel? So that would be step zero. Step one, if you have a strong why, if you're like, well, I've always loved houses, this is definitely something I want to do, whatever. Find some people that you can somewhat identify with. Find And what I mean what I mean by that is get on social media, get on Instagram, get on TikTok, get on YouTube, get out in the field, find a realtor that you can
Right.
identify with. I'm not even saying you have to talk to them, but study them, see what they do, see sort of what their day in and day out is. Sometimes we are willing. Sometimes realtors can be a little mean. I'm not that type. If you have questions, I'm gonna try to help you, but I do know that sometimes realtors can be mean. Sometimes people get a big head and they, feel like
Okay.
they bigger than the world and they, whatever. But find somebody that, is doing what you do. And I take it back to all the greats. I look at
Hmm.
your Beyonce's. I love Beyonce if y'all didn't know that. But you look at Beyonce, she always talks about like her influences, people that she studied
Right.
to become successful. So think about people that you can study for your success and emulate it.
Right.
You know, step two, you got to pass the test. You got to get through the class. You got to pass the test. You got to study. And step three, once you pass the test, find a brokerage. You got to do the work. it's not like I don't. Let me see. I don't even know if. Let's see.
Right, right.
I don't know if my thing will show my call log. Yeah, it does. So look at all these calls. This is all today. This is my call log. These are all phone calls that I have made today. Plus Instagram. Like, these are not personal messages. This is all, these are people that are interested in buying homes, people that I'm having to vet. It's not easy at all. Like, all 24 of those closings last year, they were not handed to me. The closings this week, I had two closings this week, they were not handed to me. This is having conversations at 9, 10 at night. This is stepping out. I have stepped out of the club 1, 2 in the morning to talk to a
Yeah.
client. I'd have been up midnight
Work.
talking to a loan officer about a file, working on Sundays, working from vacation. Like, it's a sacrifice. And that's why I say, like, not everybody is ready to take that sacrifice. If you just like a person that, well, I'm on vacation, I'm in like vacation mode, I'm not working, I ain't worried about that job. I don't know if we can cuss on here, but you know, people be like, fuck that job, fuck them, like, this ain't that. It ain't no. I done been in the middle of the Dominican Republic trying to talk on the phone to save a deal. So you know, it's awesome, yeah, because it's not as simple as,
Right.
well. With I feel like with a regular job, if you don't do it and it just don't get done, it just don't get done. Somebody else is gonna figure out doing it. If I don't do it, same thing. Somebody else gonna do it, but I ain't gonna get paid for it.
Even again, as opposed to a lot of other careers, and I guess this might just be sales in general, but like almost getting a sale, and then or a sale happens, then you got to take it back for whatever reason. So just, I mean, I guess that's something. That's also something that you kind of have to get used to. I would ask you this: how when you started after you took your test, how long did it take you to sell a house?
I started got my license August of 2023. I didn't sell my first house until March 30th of 2024. So about 7 months, and that's just straight posts. During that time, I'm going out to communities. This is why I say it's a lot of work. I'm working full time, but I'm driving out to communities, talking to people, shadowing agents, sitting with agents all day, shadowing with them, seeing how they're talking to clients. Um, just figuring things out. Getting content, posting videos, taking pictures, all that good stuff.
Well, I definitely want to drop some nuggets on this is house selling, but even home buying. Do you have any like quick advice, steps, or anything that you would want to share with people in in the house buying process, or those who are thinking about it and trying to think if this is a good investment to do right now versus later, etc.
To me, there's no time like the present, and this is something that I always try to explain to people. You can
So,
always refinance your home, but you can never refinance the price that you bought your home for. There are people that bought their houses in COVID that have 4% rates, 2% rates, 1% rates. They're paying less than what I'm paying, and their house is more expensive than mine.
could you explain what refinancing is?
So when you buy a house, and I'll put myself out there. I bought my house. My interest rate is 5.75%. In 2 years, if interest rates go down to 4% or 3.5% nationwide, or I mean, if someone approaches, if a bank has a program where they have a rate that low,
Right.
I can go to that bank, have my current lender sell my mortgage to them, and I get a lower rate. By doing a lower rate, I can either A, lower my payment. So instead of my mortgage being $2,300, It may be $1,600 now. Or B, keep my same payment and pay it off quicker. But, and that's why I say there's no time like the present, because we feel like rates are quote unquote high. The highest rates have been is like 16%. We have not seen quote unquote high at all. But what people don't realize is when these interest rates do come down, because they're gonna come down, the prices of houses are gonna go up. Now you stuck with a low interest rate, but you paid so much for a house. The people that are buying now
Right.
that didn't pay as much as you're gonna pay for in the future, we've refinanced it down to the rate that you waited to get. So if you're on the fence and saying, "Well, I'm just waiting for interest rates to come down," that makes no sense to me at all. That will never make sense to me, because as long as you keep your credit where it needs to be, refinance. I know a lot of people around our age, probably some of our peers, watch this podcast. Biggest
Right.
thing I'll say: student
God.
loans. Please don't ignore your student loans. Like a lot of us feel like,
God.
well, them folks, they
Got
just not gonna get their money. I ain't worried about them. They
right.
just ain't getting their money. I ain't worried about it. You know, and that's a lot of our mindset. But we don't realize it really screws your credit. It does. And it puts you in a position where you cannot buy a house. So if you are, coming up, if your loans have been resumed or whatever, get an income based repayment plan, aka an IBR, or income driven repayment plan, whatever they call it now, IDR, IBR, whatever. Even if you just have to pay $50 a month, use that, pay that $50 so that you can go ahead and get into a
Yeah.
home. If you are paying your loans and stuff on time, you have maxed out credit cards and stuff. Try to get the biggest thing that
Right.
you want to do when you are buying a house is to have as good of a credit score as you can have, as little amount of debt as you can have.
Are you able to give a minimum? I know I definitely this depends, but like you should have at least whatever.
I would say if you're wanting down payment assistance, at least to 660, 680, because your 660, 680 that you're seeing on Credit Karma or Wells Fargo or Truist or whatever, it's not a real 660, 680. It's really a 620
Okay.
or 640, because you have what's called a mortgage FICO score. Your mortgage FICO score, you have a mortgage score, you have an auto score, you have a credit card score, you have all different scores. And your FICO score that you see online, that's just a combination of all those scores. So you want to make sure that your mortgage FICO score is over whatever the minimum is for the assistance program or just for a mortgage in general. Now, lenders can go down to a 580 credit score. You don't hear that a lot. Oh, I heard him getting a mortgage of 580. You
Right.
absolutely can,
Right.
but you also have to get through what's called an automated underwriting system. What is that? That's a computer that's looking at how often you've been late on your car, how often you've been late on your credit cards, if you paid your student loans, whatever. So you may have a 580 credit score, but if you've been late on your loans, that computer is going to flip you over to what's called
Right.
a refer. And you're going to have to get a manual underwrite. A human is going to have to look at it. If a computer didn't approve it, a human definitely isn't going to approve it. So the best thing that I'll say is just try to pay your bills on time as much as possible. I'm a firm believer that buying a home is better than renting. I think that if you are in a position
Right.
where you're in a city that you know that you're going to stay in, like for me, I knew I was going to stay in Atlanta. I'm born and raised in Atlanta. This will always be home. I may move somewhere else, but I always want to have a property to come back to here. I wanted to go ahead and buy a home, especially since we ain't young like we were before. I think a lot of us, I still feel like I'm 18,
Right.
19,
Right. Right.
especially when I'm
Right.
drinking, and I regret it the next day. But we are not 18, 19 years old. We pushing 30, whether we like it or not. 25 years from now, we're going to be wanting to be in a position where we can retire. That's why the average mortgage is 30 years. Because the goal is for you to be retiring and for your house to be paid off around this.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Ooh, I'm digesting what you just said right now. Okay. What is your advice on kind of like using you not being a realtor, but using property also for uh, passive income.
A house, I think it's a great idea. Um,
For sure.
I think it's a great idea. I think that property is one of the one things, if not the one thing, that does not depreciate. And a lot of people say, well, you say that, but talk about what happened in 2009, 2010. It came back, didn't it? So it came back, didn't it? So I think that property is a great way to, save money and build wealth. I think more people should look at it that way. A house is a place to live, yes, but it is also like a huge investment because the house that you're buying right now very well could be your retirement property, or
Yeah.
it could be a rental property that you rent out in the future. You just never really know exactly what you're gonna do at the end of the day with that property. You have places where you can still buy a house for $10,000. Even if you just buy that house, board the windows
Mm-hmm.
up, and just hold on to it, the land is going to be worth something one day. You know, so
If I'm not mistaken, even though when you do pay off your house, you still got to pay property taxes. That's a finesse. That's a finesse.
so I think with property taxes, I see so many people lose houses due to, yeah, and just they just don't pay, especially when you have air property. Like, if your parents leave you a house or whatever, grandparents leave you a house, and you just are. I mean, sometimes it's just ignorance. You just don't know that you need to pay property taxes. Um, People lose. So I do hate that concept, but it also is a necessary concept because without property taxes, we wouldn't have roads and schools and sewers and all that kind of stuff. So that also
It's,
is it's important in that sense too.
I understand that. Do you have any like last words for the audience, whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether it's in auto, whether it's real estate, anything that you would like to leave? Yeah.
Coming into a new year, it's 2026. Great opportunities await. Amazing things can happen this year if you're willing to make those amazing things happen. Um, just do
Yeah.
what it is that you set out to do and just do it. Don't allow anyone or anything to get in your ear and tell you that you can or can't do something, because at the end of the day, the man who thinks that he can do something, the man that thinks he can't do something are both right. It's ultimately just about believing in yourself and just knowing the direction that you're
Okay. He that thinks he can do something and he who thinks they can't do something, they're both right. Okay. I get that. Okay, okay. Yeah. Do you have any advice for me as far as like the pod or anything in that essence?
No, I mean I've seen and heard great things about the podcast.
Good.
Even just before being invited, I appreciate you for inviting me on. Just keep it up. Keep the consistency going. Just keep finding new stuff, new people.
Right.
Um, to have on a podcast. But I think you're doing a great job.
That's for sure. I appreciate that. And so my last question of the night. What is the only word in the dictionary spelled incorrectly?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
The word incorrectly.
I'm sitting here thinking like, wait, is this okay? Okay, I I get that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. But man, we appreciate you, Levi. Thank you guys for tuning in to Paid in Passion. And don't forget to let your passion work for you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Josh.